everybody please to put their name, organization, where they're from in the chat box. We'll get started in about 1 more minute. All right, thank you, thank you. Excellent. All right. All right, guys, I think we're going to go ahead and get started so that we can be respectful of everyone's time. First and foremost, on behalf of myself and the Barry Robinson Center, we want to welcome you to Minding My Mental Health, staying connected during these disconnected times. But before we start the presentation, I do want to remind everyone that this training will be recorded and will be available via YouTube and our website within 24 hours. I will be your host for this presentation. My name is Delonte Green, and I am the Military Community Liaison in the National Capital Region for the Barry Robinson Center. If you are unfamiliar with the Barry Robinson Center, we are a mental and behavioral health, nonprofit mental and behavioral health residential treatment facility located in Norfolk, Virginia, that is dedicated to serving the youth up to age 17 of military connected families. In addition to our residential services, we also offer some community-based programs that are not military exclusive, such as our ABA program, our foster care program, and we are excited to launch our young adult program this summer. Our host for this presentation today, our presenter for this presentation today will be Ms. Janika Joyner, who is a licensed clinical social worker in Chesapeake, Virginia, who specializes in trauma as a certified clinical trauma professional through the International Association of Trauma Professionals. She earned her Master of Social Work with a clinical concentration from Norfolk State University and is currently pursuing her doctoral degree in social work. She is also approved to provide supervision towards clinical social work licensure in the state of Virginia. Janika has been employed with the Barry Robinson Center for 14 years, where she has served as clinical therapist and clinical trainer. Janika founded Higher Elevation Psychosocial Services, LLC in 2017 to address the effects that adverse childhood experiences have on the mind, body, and spirit. Janika has a special interest in working with adolescent girls and women who have experienced trauma issues with adjustment, coping with stress, grief, loss, anxiety, and a myriad of other mental health issues. Janika currently serves on the Chesapeake Interagency Consortium Board as the private provider representative. She has spoken at local, state, and national conferences as a panelist, presenter, and host. Janika is an Amazon best-selling author, speaker, and psychotherapist. She has been featured in HuffPost, 17, Bustle, Fatherly, Elite Daily, and Successful Black Parenting magazine. Now, before I pass it over to Ms. Janika Joyner, I do want to encourage everyone that this will be a very interactive presentation, so please feel free to interact in the chat box. But towards the end, if you have questions, please direct those questions towards the Q&A box. All right, and without further ado, I give you Ms. Janika Joyner.
All right, thank you, Delonte. I appreciate that. I cannot see everyone, but I see where everyone is from. I'm starting off with some smooth music for you on your lunch. I don't know if you're eating lunch or if you're ready to learn, but we are going to chat. We're going to keep the energy. Let me know what's going on in the chat box. I would love to hear from you. So if everyone is feeling good, put a 1 in the chat box for me. If you're not feeling okay, put a 2, and we're going to turn that 2 into a 1 before we are done. How about that? So yes, we're going to try to stay connected. All those 1s, I love it. Yes, yes. And I didn't see a 2 yet, but if I see a 2, it's okay. It is okay. We're going to hopefully get that 1, keep that 1 staying strong. All right, all right. Yes, 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 wonderful. Okay, so I'm going to stop my music here and go ahead and share my screen so that you all can see the PowerPoint, and we're going to get rolling. Okay. All right. Here we are. Again, this is called Minding My Mental Health. I'm Janika Joyner. And the reason why it's called Minding My Mental Health, because some people don't mind their mental health. We'll mind, other things going on in the community. We'll mind things going on with our friends, even our pets, our children, but we don't take ownership and mind our own mental health. Working in residential, one of the quotes that the children used to say all the time was, mind your own issue. And I like that. I thought it was cute. So minding my mental health is taking ownership for that. And being that we're just passing the first full year of being in COVID, we have to stay connected, but we're still technically in the middle of a pandemic and have to practice social distancing and stay somewhat disconnected. Okay, so what we're going to do is briefly, if you're in the mental health field, I do not want to bore you. This will be just general overview of the difference between mental health and mental illness, some common mental health disorders, signs and symptoms, how stress can affect a person, staying connected safely, the importance of self-care, and self-care is not selfish, and it also isn't just a massage. What or when you need to look at self-care and pay attention to it, some appropriate self-care techniques, and I always end with resources and information on what you can do to share. So I'm going to provide that. All right. So mental health and mental illness, they're a spectrum. You know, think about your physical health. Sometimes we're physically well, and sometimes we're physically ill. So one person isn't going to be physically healthy all the time. People get colds. People get the flu. Some people have had COVID. Some people, get physical impairments. So it's on the spectrum, but they heal. You can break a bone and it will heal. So the same thing goes for mental health and mental illness. Mental health, again, it just includes our emotional, psychological, and social well-being. It affects how we think, feel, and act. I do a lot of work in private practice with utilizing cognitive behavior therapy for this very reason. It looks at the connections between thoughts, feelings, and behavior. It's going to impact how an individual handles stress, relates to others, and make choices. Who in here has had to make a choice this week? A difficult one? Me. So mental health conditions involve changes in emotions, thinking, and behavior. So again, if you're mentally healthy, you're probably going to make better decisions than if you're mentally ill. Does not mean that if a mental ill person has a decision to make, they're just going to make all bad decisions. I just operate from a place of understanding that when an individual is mentally ill or a person is mentally ill, they may be operating E over I, which is emotions over intellect. And therapy and work and sometimes medication can help a person get to I over E, which is intellect over emotion. So some stats, again, this is going to change because COVID has definitely exacerbated a lot of mental health issues. If people were depressed in 2017, 2018, 2016, 2017, it was worse in 2019 since COVID. These numbers have gotten higher, which is unfortunate, but that's what we're experiencing right now. Suicide rates are up. Alcoholism is up. So whatever issues were underlying before COVID, COVID definitely exposed them and increased them. If people were gambling a little bit, they're gambling more now. If there were issues of domestic violence going on, they've increased. And unfortunately, due to COVID, a lot of those things, like I said, have been exacerbated. So I can't see the chat box, but I just want you all to tell me, in your opinion, if you know, great, and if you don't, what are the top 2 mental health diagnoses in the United States? And Delonte, if you see any responses, could you just yell them out to me, please? Thank you.
So we got depression and anxiety from Lauren.
Ding, ding, ding. Whoever said, woo, woo, ding, ding. Yes, that's, if you said the top 2, because they are the most reported diagnoses. Now, I've seen individuals who presented with anxiety And when we do a workup and I do a trauma assessment, they present with PTSD or some other trauma-related diagnosis. And that's because PTSD is an anxiety disorder, so it falls with that. So yes, absolutely. So good job for you all who were in the chat and were able to say anxiety and depression. Thank you. And this was a hint here, major depression. I give gifts. All right, so some common mental health disorders. Again, anxiety disorders. So you have generalized anxiety disorder, post-traumatic stress disorder, panic disorder, OCD, that's obsessive and compulsive disorders for my non-clinicians, ADHD, mood disorders, depression, dysthymia, bipolar disorder, types 1 and 2, psychotic disorder, eating disorders, impulse control, and addictions. They're actually adding, due to COVID, internet addiction. That we're looking at seeing an increase of individuals being on screens, children being at home, playing games. So they're looking at actually adding addiction to the internet and what that looks like. People are dating on the internet now, going to school on the internet. So a lot of time is being spent on the screen. So it's fair to see that. We have some personality disorders, developmental and cognitive disorders also, and Alzheimer's falls under that. These are common, not everyone. I wasn't going to bore you all and put the whole DSM-5 up there. And for those of you who do not know what the DSM-5 is, it is the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual, the 5th edition. That is what clinicians, psychiatrists, psychologists, what we use to diagnose and treat mental health disorders. Okay, so I just named all these common mental health disorders. What are some signs and symptoms? Well, here they are. Feeling unusually confused, forgetful, on edge, angry, upset, worried, or scared. Well, that could be anybody because COVID is going on. Yeah. Feeling numb or like nothing matters. Feeling helpless or hopeless. Extreme feelings of guilt. Maybe someone you love has passed, or they had COVID and you didn't get it, you feel guilty. Or if you had it and you weren't sick and another person got sick or was sicker than you may feel guilty. You're avoiding friends and social activities where we were told to avoid these things before, well, while COVID was going on. But if you're doing this before COVID was happening, or even when this is resolved, these are just some symptoms to look for. Abusing substances like drugs and or alcohol, sleeping too much or not enough, feeling extremely tired or having low energy. If you're overeating, and some people say, I'm an emotional eater, that counts. Or a stress eater, that counts as well. Or a loss of appetite. If you're having difficulties understanding or connecting to other people, if you have a loss of interest in activities you once enjoyed, if you were taking walks and if you were painting and now you just can't do it, you're not interested and you don't find it enjoyable anymore, maybe an indicator. Yelling or fighting with family and friends. And I don't mean just the regular conflict. We know conflict is inevitable. I'm talking about the yelling, the fighting. You're extremely, I don't call it worked up. I say you're passionate. You're extremely passionate. For a lot of individuals, changes in sex drive. No one wants to talk about this. Changes in sex drive may be a sign or symptom. It may not be physically related. It could be something going on mentally. And there's nothing to be ashamed about. Inability to carry out daily activities or handle daily problems and stress. So the first slide talked about how you manage stress and handle it. If you're not mentally well, you may see this issue. If you're having persistent thoughts and memories you can't get out of your head, or flashbacks, or even moments where you blank out and you don't recall what you were doing, and of course, thinking about suicide. All right, guys, so I want to hear from you. How has this pandemic contributed to your stress? What are your top 3 stressors? drop them in the chat box. I'll tell you now what my top 3 stressors are. I'm going to be honest with you. Buying food for my 3 sons. I have 3 boys at home. So my grocery bill is my top, and I'm going to put each of my sons' names in 1, 2, and 3 because I have 3 sons. So they're my top 3 stressors. Their ages are 14, 7, and 2. And the 2-year-old can go. The 2-year-old can go. So he's actually going to be number 1 because he eats the most. So how has this pandemic contributed to your stress? And if you see any comments that are there, I would love to hear them, Delonte.
So Melanie says, trying to stay safe.
Yes.
We also got virtual schools, social life.
Yes.
Selena has bills, food, children.
Mm-hmm.
Valencia says work, family, trying to stay safe. Abby Lane just says worry.
Yep.
Saying no and letting people down.
Yeah.
Work, school, finances. All of us trying to stay, I guess, safe while, stay safe while working.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
Hannah,
if you all see behind me, that safe thing, even though I'm in this office by myself and I see clients limited, we're wearing masks and practicing social distancing. You see what is behind me: Clorox, Lysol. I have my mask. Yes, that constant, worry or fear of being exposed to someone who has it and not wanting to bring that home to your families. Finances, that's a number 1 for a lot of people because some jobs were lost, some positions were cut, some people were furloughed, and then with different things going on with the government and getting assistance in a timely manner. I'm with you, that can impact you definitely. That amount of stress that contributes to your worry, like, when is it going to end? We don't have an end date for this pandemic, unfortunately. And what happens with individuals who are anxious or have anxiety is that the uncertainty increases the anxiety. So the more question marks you have, the worse things get because you need the structure. You need to know what's coming next. And we don't have any definite answers in dealing with this pandemic ending. So we have to just do our best to make sure that we're taking care of ourselves and we're getting the help that is out there because help is available. And thank you for everyone who shared. All right, so yes, we're talking about stress. If you heard Delonte read, I do a lot of working with individuals who have been affected by either childhood trauma or traumas experienced in adulthood. So it impacts the mind, the body, and the spirit. How? Well, spiritual. Let's start there. And not everyone has to be, I'm not saying religious, but spiritual. I believe everyone has a spirit. You may not. This is my stance as Janika Joyner. I'm not going to tell you you're wrong. This is just where I'm operating from. So a loss of love towards others, lack of joy, no peace, you're impatient, short temper, lack of self-control. So if you do have days where you go into the office and there's a meeting and someone says good morning to you, whatever, it's not a good morning. We're still in the middle of a pandemic. And someone said, well, what got into his Wheaties or her Wheaties? A lack of joy. I was in several trainings and it's as if now we have this internal conflict of experiencing and expressing joy because of all of the bad that we're hearing about this pandemic and what it brings. It's like you better not seem to be okay, or you better not show any signs of happiness because people are out here dying and losing their lives. And I'm saying it's okay. It's okay to experience happiness and joy because we don't know what we have coming next. So to live your life and operate out of being happy with what you have, appreciating who you have left, because we don't know when our time is up, is okay. If someone says don't be happy, say, well, Janika Joyner told me that I can operate from happiness, and you can send them to me and we can talk about it. How about that? Okay. So now look at what happens to the body. Headaches. Yes. Anxiety. dizziness, panic disorders. I have individuals that I work with who cannot even go to the hospital. Their fear of being in the hospital is associated with a negative emotion or memory of a loved one who passed away. Some triggers, you'll have episodes of crying, shaking, difficulty breathing, grinding of the teeth, and tension in the jaw. This is something that I've been told my clients do when they're asleep. Their spouses will say, or their significant others or partners will report that they're grinding their teeth and tension in the jaw from being worked up while they're dreaming. Yes. Increased heart rate, stroke, heart disease, hypertension, diabetes, digestive disorders, upset stomach, abdominal pain, irritable bowel syndrome. There were a lot of research articles that talked about children and anxiety. So as adults, we can sometimes say, you've heard individuals, I have bad nerves. Well, you may be anxious. Sometimes when children are anxious, they say their stomachs hurt. And that's true. I don't know a lot of 6 or even 7-year-olds who are going to walk up to their mom or dad or guardian and say, hey, I'm a little overwhelmed right now because I miss my friends and this Zoom I don't really understand it. And I don't understand why I can't go to school right now. So yes, dealing with stress can impact your digestive system. It may be hard to go. And if it's hard to go, you're not going to be the happiest person. I'm just saying, whether you're an adult or a child. So we have weight gain and obesity. Again, if you're doing all of this stress eating and emotional eating, you're going to gain weight. Some of my colleagues were calling it, the quarantine pounds. Now, I don't want any parts of that. You can keep that over there. I'm going to maintain what I have and try to lose something. I don't want any quarantine pounds. And then the muscle tension. If you're sitting in a chair, pay attention to how close your shoulders are to your ears. That's an indicator that you're tense and you're sitting up. No, I practice and model how to just do this. A lot of my people who are stressed have a difficult time relaxing. You don't know how to relax because you're worried about what's coming next. Okay, is there going to be a new strand this week? Is somebody going to respond to a vaccine this way? Look at your shoulders. So check your shoulders now. How are you sitting in your chair? Are you relaxed? Are your shoulders up here? Drop them. Drop them. So for your entire body, you may have insomnia. People aren't sleeping well. Emotional and behavior problems. Immune system dysfunction. There was a lot of talk about boosting your immune system. People are going back to natural supplements and taking items that have been around for years and doing the lemons and all of these to boost their immune system to assist if they were to come into contact with COVID. A lot of nervousness. Nervousness. And if you're experiencing all of this, guys, it's going to make you tired. So you're going to have chronic fatigue. So you have to take care of yourself. But stress is happening. We all experience it. But if you know how it affects your mind, body, and your spirit, and especially your mental, you got to be able to do something about it. So they've told us, okay, there's a pandemic, shut the world down, don't go outside, don't talk to people, wear a mask, stay disconnect suddenly. And we were so used to meeting, to having gatherings, to connecting. My clients, I laugh with them because my introverts, they're like, well, I'm fine being at home, but at least I want to be in control of when I come out. They love the fact that they didn't have to socialize, but they still wanted the option to be able to say no, or I don't want to socialize. So what can we do? Well, we've all been told to avoid group gatherings, sleepovers, play dates, and concerts. Wear your mask, practice social distancing, 6 feet apart. Check your temperature. But it's okay, but use caution to go grocery shopping because you got to feed your families. You can go to church when churches open back up. and you can pick up your medications because some pharmacies do have drive-through. It's safe to take a walk, do yard work, cook a meal, or check on the elderly. I saw a video when COVID first happened, and someone created a plastic sleeve to hug their loved one. That was so cute. Us humans, we are so creative and resilient because no one was prepared for last March. We didn't know what was going to happen. I was doing a training in person on March the 6th and had no idea that that would be the last time that I would be able to present on this very topic the way that I did. I had no idea. No idea. All right. So, how can we stay connected safely if we're supposed to practice social distancing, but use caution here and do things there? So, what are you all doing? I can share what I've done. I had no idea of how to crochet before COVID. And when they shut us down, I went to YouTube University and I majored in crocheting. I was making infinity scarves, blankets, you name it. I was able to do that alone and in the comfort of my home. What have you guys been doing? What are some things you can do alone but still stay connected? I was crocheting and staying connected by sharing it with individuals. Here, I made this for you. Here, look at this skill that I learned. Look at my nice blanket. So that's something that you can do alone and still connect with people. So what are some of the things you've been doing? I've heard individuals who were actually doing cooking classes online or via Zoom with other people. I was doing Zoom Zumba alone in my house, but I could see other people on the screen. I told you guys I was not going to pick up any quarantine pounds. So what are you doing? Or what are some things you have done or you can do alone if you're still worried, and it is okay to be cautious about COVID?
We got a few answers here. Corby Lane said lots of FaceTime. Sarah Holland, knitting. Cheryl is doing virtual cook-offs. I know I myself, I'm really into film, and obviously with the movie theaters being shut down, I had to buy my own projector so that I could still have a kind of a movie theater experience. We have exercise at the gym and in the company of my own home. Alicia says, I'm learning to play piano. Megan is reading, lots of reading. Selena Johnson is t-shirts. Susan, she changed book club into virtual book clubs.
All right, awesome. Well, for all those responses, woo woo. And you all are seeing my blue and gold because, again, I'm a therapist and sometimes I have to cheer for people who can't cheer for themselves. So I'm cheering for you. These are my high school colors. Who can guess? I'm from Chesapeake, Virginia. These are my high school colors. Anybody guess yet, Delonte? High school colors.
Oscar Smith.
Oscar Smith, woo woo! And I'll put green and gold up later because I go to Norfolk State. So yes. So now things we can do with others. This with being able to practice social distancing and ensuring that we're protected and we're safe and also caring about others. Some things that you can do, you can attend church, you can go to religious activities, you can go to restaurants. Some people are opposed to it, and this is the thing. Do what you are comfortable with doing. Don't feel pressured to do something. Don't feel guilty for not accepting an invitation when others are saying, well, we're going to check temperatures and masks are mandatory. If you go and you don't see people wearing masks and you don't feel comfortable, then you can leave. If you don't feel comfortable, do what you are comfortable with doing. And if it's you you're on the side of, not being as cautious, don't shame anyone for not sharing your feelings, okay? We have to be mindful of that. Not everyone is going to operate from the place that we do. So don't feel that you have to do something out of guilt, or you don't want to let people down, or you're too scared. But there are things you can still do with others if you want to leave your home. I myself, I have started seeing clients in person in my office to do trauma work. Again, all of my cleaning supplies there, and I'm sanitizing, I'm wearing a mask. Yes, even though this office is huge, I'm still practicing social distancing. So I can still do one-on-one, face-to-face therapy with individuals. I can go to the mall. I love to shop. I do. Online shopping is great. It really is. But touching the racks and the clothes and feeling the fabric, it just does something for me. It really does something for me. So if you're thinking of things you can do with others, you can definitely have a picnic and practice social distancing. I saw the cutest thing when this first started in my parking lot. Individuals were eating lunch and talking to each other through their cars, but their windows were down, but they were still practicing social distancing. So those are things you can do with others. I would love to hear from you all in the chat some of the things you can do with others or have done, because I'm always looking for opportunities to do something different.
So we got Paula Harrison Hill, who says walking a trail with a friend.
Mm-hmm. Yes, walk and talk therapy is popular now. And I have some colleagues who are actually doing that and during COVID. Mm-hmm. But walking and talking, yes, on the track.
Cheryl Washington says picnics and working outside together.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yes. Okay. Well, that's the thing. We can do things with others as we feel comfortable. So one thing that I've done, I've been to the beach. Again, my level of comfort with knowing that I can wipe down everything, I can sanitize everything first, leave out, and then come back after it's dried and it's settled in my hotel room on the beach. Let me clarify that. I've been to the beach, no problems. Everything was separated, and it was nice. My husband and I went first, and then we went back and took our sons, and we enjoyed it. We even rode on the family bikes that you can pedal. We did that together. Yeah, so there are things that you can do with others, and there are also things that you can do alone, but we have to stay connected because we're not created to just be on these silos by ourselves and not have interaction. Zoom is great, and it's a way we're staying connected. Look at what we're doing now. We're staying connected where we can't have physical gatherings. There are things that we can do. You see that telephone back there on the screen? You can call someone. You can have an actual conversation. If you want to get old school, you can send them a letter in the mail. Yes, an actual, not an email, not a text message, but an actual letter that is handwritten with a message from you. Ooh, my grandparents love that. I have a 98-year-old great grandfather, and he loves getting mail. He does. Yeah, so things that we can do to stay connected and do it safely. Do it safely. What is this new thing they have now? Duo on Google. You can do the duos, the FaceTime. So all of that, all of that. So the importance of self-care. We do a lot with working. We do a lot with taking care of kids. We're learning how to virtual school. We're finding out what to cook because now we're the cafeteria lady, we're the nurse, we're the bus driver, we're the school administrator if we're doing virtual schooling. So what happens to us? What happens to you as the caregiver? You have duties at work, then you also have duties at home. And if you're a part of any clubs, organizations, sororities, fraternities, then you have duties to serve as well. So what happens to you? I see a lot of individuals who are saying, you know, I'm burnt out on both ends. Things are happening and I can't catch up. I have this going, I have that going on. And then bam, I think I'm having a heart attack when in essence, it's panic because I bottled, I put myself on the back burner. Not okay. Not okay. I hear, or have you all heard the statement, you can't pour from an empty cup? Yeah, I'm not the only one that's heard that, correct? You can't pour from an empty cup. I get that. I do. However, why are we allowing the cup to get empty in the first place? I don't want my cup to be halfway empty or halfway full. I want my cup to be overflowing so that people are getting the access and they're not limited because I need my cup to be full. So, what I do for me is going to fill my cup so that I'm overflowing and I can go out here and conduct trainings. I can do therapy and hear people suffering and work with trauma, serve on boards, be there for my family, be there for my children. And my cup is full. I don't want it to get depleted even a little bit. So I love this quote by Katie Reed. Self-care just means giving the world the best of you instead of what is left of you. You can't pour from an empty cup, but you also can't give what you don't have. And some people are running on fumes right now. You're running on fumes. That's dangerous. It's not safe. It's not safe. Some things do not have to happen right now. Some things can be put off until tomorrow, next week, even. You don't have to do everything today. One of my colleagues states that you can't be everything to everybody all the time. And I stand by that. You cannot. So you got to take care of yourself. Well, Janika, I don't have time because there's always something going on. My kids won't ever leave me alone. It can be done. It can. You just have to prioritize it. Balancing, yeah, it seems like a lot, but prioritize it. Take that extra 10-minute shower in the bathroom. Lock the door. You have to. You have to. Take the long way home if you're actually going to the office or you had to run to the grocery store. Take the long way home. So, when will my self-care need attention? Well, in these 5 areas, if you're starting to see these things, you may want to either engage in some sort of self-care or pouring back into yourself, filling your cup, or meeting a mental health professional like myself or all these other phenomenal helping professionals out here in the community. So I'll start with personal. If you're feeling helpless, hopeless, no longer enjoying those activities, remember, I mentioned that earlier, increased cynicism when you were just happy-go-lucky, bright, perky, and now things are opposite. Yeah, you may need a hug. And that's another thing. Hugs are missing because we're disconnected and you may need some self-care. Job performance. If you're having poor judgment, increase in errors, you're missing deadlines and calling out of work, even on Zoom. Oh, I can't do it today. Or you're late to your meetings and you're working from home. Deadlines, errors, when your court reports or whatever documents you have to submit were normally pristine, and now you're like, well, they said they wanted it today, so they're going to get it just like this. Yeah. Behaviors, mood swings, blaming others, crying, and avoidance. Oh, I don't want to meet with them today. Nope. When 2 minutes ago you were excited, then something is mentioned about your report, and then you're blaming other people. It's not my fault. They should not have. Physical, headaches, backaches, sore necks, high blood pressure, exhaustion. So again, all of these things, sometimes going to the chiropractor may relieve some of that. Sometimes you need a massage, and sometimes you need to relax. That tension is built up in your body, and it's not healthy at all. And lastly, the interpersonal. Isolating, poor communication, inability to problem solve, and unable to connect with others. So there's still group projects going on, even though we're disconnected. Someone is responsible for this, another person is responsible for that, but not wanting to be a team player. And I don't mean just removing yourself and not fulfilling your duties, but also deciding that you want it done right. So you're going to do it yourself and not even have the other team members participate. Assigning yourself additional job duties and having to do things for individuals because you want to make sure it's done right. That's not being a team player. Poor communication. Now we're in the age of sending a lot of emails, and per my last email, ... And some people are extremely sensitive now and highlighting and bolding certain things, whereas before COVID, you weren't doing any of that. Or not even returning emails. So poor communication. People have to follow back up with you. Hey, just checking in. I haven't heard from you since this day. I know things are busy, and then you said, okay, that's all you send back. May need some attention. Your self-care may need some attention. So again, this is not an exhaustive list of everything that could occur. You know yourself better than anyone. And if any of these areas you're starting to see some change, you may need to pay attention a little bit closer to your self-care and what have you done recently. When is the last time you laughed? I mean, really laughed till you're in tears. When is the last time you were happy? When is the last time you were proud? If it's been a while, you may need some attention. You may need some attention. That's all I'm saying. So here are some tips. I love sharing acronyms. They're my favorite. I work a lot with acronyms and I'm big on them. So I say take care for self-care. The first one is take breaks. You cannot work. You have got to take a break. Taking a break is necessary. If you look at any device, you have a pause button on every device that we're using. Even on the VCRs back in the day. Well, I'm showing my age. I did say I was 25. No one do math. Okay, so taking a break, pause. If we think about the purpose of that pause button, it's so that we can catch up, so that we can, do a skill. While I was learning to crochet, I hit pause a lot while I was attending YouTube University, so that I could latch that hook and do the stitches, and then I would hit play again because I was ready for the next step. Didn't mean I quit. So that's T. A is ask for help. That is so hard for a lot of individuals to do. My A-type people, and I call my clients my anxious need to be in control crew. It is so hard to ask for help. Guys, we're all in this together. Everyone is impacted some way and in some form. Asking for help is not a sign of weakness at all. So ask for help. If that is you and you struggle and you're like, well, I need a sign to ask for help. Here it is. Ask for help. I'm giving you the sign right now. Keep a journal. I'm an advocate for writing in the journal. An advocate. Guess what? What we are experiencing now is history. So if you're writing in a journal about just the stress and how things have changed, there's so many reasons why you can write in a journal. And if I seem to be so excited, that's because I really do like writing in a journal and I see the benefits of it. If you're writing in a journal, you're keeping an account of what's happening during history. And someone may find it, or you may look at it 20 years from now and share it. And it's like, oh yeah, we went through COVID. So yes, keeping a journal. Keeping a journal also allows you to vent and not get unwanted advice. Oh yes. I utilize the journal and therapy with my clients to assist them with tracking negative thinking patterns. So that's a place also. And you can also keep track of your progress in your goals in a journal. Yes. So if you don't have a journal, go get one. They're at dollar store everywhere. E is exercise. Some people think walking is not exercise. It really is. If you're walking for about 30 minutes a day, that's exercising. If you have a 15-minute break in between your meetings or while you're working, take that walk. Go outside. Today is beautiful. You don't have to be doing HIIT and all of these extreme workouts. I know I'm not, but I'm still exercising when I can, taking walks, doing Zumba. I don't lift. I'm not a bodybuilder. Don't desire to be. C is create a routine. So for a lot of individuals, our routines were just uprooted and changed when COVID happened. And I say still try to stick with the routine, because if you have something written down, it's more likely to happen than if you do not. Saying, oh yeah, I get to it sometime. But if you say between 10 and 12, I would like to reorganize my shoe rack, it's more likely to happen. Not saying you have a specific time, but you gave yourself that window. So create a routine. I'm going to get up and do some type of hygiene. I'm going to do something to my bed, and I'm going to straighten up one room in my house. That is having a routine. If that's all you want to do before 10 a.m. A is accepting change. And if COVID didn't show us that, or this pandemic didn't show us that, I don't know what else could. We had our minds and our lives planned out, vacations, trips, events, graduations. Everyone had things planned out, and COVID happened and we had to change. But what did I say about us humans? We are so resilient. We can adapt. Accept the change. We can hold on to certain things. Change is not a bad thing. It isn't. I love change. I'm obsessed with novelty. I love to change my hair. My hair won't be like this next week. All right. So R, depending on the person that you are, it could mean read, rest, or relax. I have rest and relax up there for a reason, because again, depending on who you are, you may need one or the other or both. Reading, if you were saying, I really do like books and I haven't gotten a chance to get into it, maybe reading while you're in a bubble bath. Don't read and drive. Don't say, well, you told me to read. No, I didn't. Do not read and drive unless you're reading the signs to your exit, okay? Resting. You're always on the go. COVID slowed us down. This pandemic slowed us down. You didn't have to go to soccer games. You didn't have to go across town. You are home now. So resting, putting your feet up, and then relaxing your mind, because you're thinking about what's next, or you're thinking about what you should have, would have, could have done, and you're not appreciating and celebrating the moment and being mindful in the here and the now. And lastly is eat healthy. That emotional eating is only going to give you those extra pounds, and you don't want them. So eating healthy can actually improve your mood. It can boost your mood. Eat healthy, and I'm also going to add drinking water. All right, so again, more tips. I found this at LifeSum and I love it, and I always share it when I'm talking about self-care. So 1 through 10, you're going to have 1 hour of exercise. You can break that up into 30 minutes or however you want to do it. 2 liters of water a day, 3 cups of tea. I'm on my first one. 4 colors on your plate, 5 minutes of meditation, 6 songs that motivate you, 7 minutes of laughter, 8 hours of sleep. Janika Joyner gets 7 to 8 hours of sleep a night. Yes, I do. 9 pages of a book, or I'm even going to say a magazine or articles. And 10 reasons to be thankful. So I love sharing this one because it's 1 through 10 self-care tips that just get us where we need to be. So I'm going to end with a challenge. You've been listening to me talk about, staying connected, minding your mental health. I just challenge each and every one of you who is on this training to reflect on the work that you do and focus on the successes. It doesn't matter how big or how small. If you got on a Zoom call on time and you're late most of the time, for you. If you only ate one cookie and you normally will eat the whole pack, for you. If you're attending this training and you really didn't want to, good for you. Those successes are your why. You're making a difference in every organization you're attached to, in your families, and hopefully in your communities. And there's hope. We are going to get through this. If we've learned anything from history, is that something similar to this happened before with the Spanish flu and it left. So this is going to leave as well. I challenge you all to take time today to pour back into yourself. What can you do for yourself mentally? What can you do for yourself physically? What can you do for yourself emotionally? Also spiritually. What can you do today? If you can't do something today because it's busy, it's okay. What can you do tomorrow, the next week, or this month? I intend to go to my chiropractor tomorrow. That's what I'm going to do for myself. I love visiting Dr. Donner. Yes, I'm going to go see my chiropractor. I'm also going to get my nails done. So think about what you can do for yourself to pour back into you, because your mental health is important. You are important. You can't continue to impact individuals at your workplace, at your home, and in the community if you are not well. So here are some resources. If you know someone who may benefit from a therapist and you don't know where to send them, I always give these resources. Now people are texting, they're online. So I love the texting for the suicide hotlines, mental health hotlines, grief, sexual assault, self-harm, bullying, pregnancy, and infant and child loss. If you're saying, okay, yes, a lot of those symptoms resonate with me and I don't know where to send, know where to go, here are a lot of directories and websites for you to find therapists. And it's a very diverse list, and I wanted to make sure that I presented it that way. If you say, I don't have insurance, well, openpathcollective.org is for those who do not have insurance. There are therapists who are up there providing reduced cost services to those who do not meet financial, guidelines. So you may not get it for $125 because some therapists are charging $125 to $150 per session. And if you don't have insurance due to a layoff or whatever, you can go to Open Path Collective if it's you. But if you know someone who may need some help, these resources are there for you. I'm gonna leave this screen up in case anyone wants to take a picture of it or write some of this down. I'm going to leave it up. And that is all that I have for you all today. I'm going to open it up for questions in about 1 minute because I want to leave this screen up for anyone who wants to screenshot it or write something down. These are just resources on where to find a therapist. I would not be doing my due diligence if I did not leave you with this information. And also, it's Social Work Month. So happy Social Work Month. Again, got my button on. We are essential. If you're not a social worker and thinking about a career choice, we need more social workers. I'm just going to put that out there. And if you're looking for a school to attend, go to Norfolk State. Go to Norfolk State. Okay? All right, so I'm going to stop sharing now and open up for any questions anyone may have.
All right. So, Janika, we already have one question here. This comes from Susan, and she would like you to please relist the 10 self-care tips.
Oh, well, all right. Hold on. Let's see. So I have to share again. Hold on. I got you, Miss Susan. Don't you worry. Let's go on back. Okay. Here we go. Yes, anyone else that has a question or I reviewed anything too quickly, just let me know.
All right. I just want to remind anyone that if you do have questions, go ahead and direct those to the Q&A box as opposed to the regular chat box.
Or did you get that? Could you let Delonte know if you got the tips? Okay. I'll stop sharing in a minute to make sure you were able to get the rest of those. If anybody else wants it.
Looks like Susan said she got it.
Okay. Wonderful. All right. Any more questions? What can help with grinding teeth? I see that one. Well, I've been told that you can use mouth guards or even going to your dentist so they can, give you some information on that, Selena. Thank you all for your kind words. Yes, I gave you all permission. I got some pom-poms for myself. Woo-woo! All right. Yes, yes. Yes. Okay. Any other questions? I appreciate your feedback, everyone. I really do. All right. Well, I won't hold you all hostage because it's nice out and I've been practicing what I preach. So if you all want to enjoy this day and have fun in the sun, I'm not going to hold it against you because I gave you permission. All right.
We want to thank everyone for joining us today, and we hope to see you at the next one.